Hello, welcome to the Lately in JavaScript podcast Hangout. This is episode 49, and after a long time struggling again with the Google Hangouts, finally I think we got started. I'm Manuel Lemos, and once again I'm here with me, Artur Sosins from Latvia. How are you doing, Artur?
Yeah, hello. Uh, kind of cold actually, the winter is coming.
Yeah,
But
well, I thought
hey,
you were going to say you were tired of struggling with the Google Cloud system.
well, most struggling is on your have a lower third, it doesn't show your camera, but at least now you can be thankful that you're not an elephant, you
Yeah,
know?
yes, that's the good part. This time we have as mascot, totally unrelated with JavaScript, but this is also about PHP classes because it's the brother side. JS classes that is promoting this hangout. This time we have the elephant. But we are here to talk about the latest happenings in JavaScript world, and we are going to start right away with some news about jQuery 3.0. Basically, it doesn't say what is the most important information people wanted to know, which is basically when it will be released. But they mention a few things about what they plan to do in this version of 3.0. They plan to have two versions, one called Compat and the other it's the regular one. And the compat one is meant to include uh, code or whatever is necessary to make it work with the old browsers. And well, old browsers does not mean those very old. It means i8, Hopper 12, Safari 5. They don't even mention Chrome or Firefox because most people have already upgraded to the latest versions. And other than that, they mentioned that if you are going to develop for a platform on which you are certain that what the browser will be, like for instance, if you are developing for instance, mobile applications based on PhoneGap or Cordova, um, they encourage you to use the regular jQuery 3.0.0. Other than that, both versions will provide the same public APIs, so it will be no trouble to switch between one version on the other. So I think this is to make people, developers, happier, so they do not need to deal with so much with the difference between the libraries. Arthur, have you been following news about jQuery 3? Have you been using jQuery in your application somehow? What are
Uh,
your thoughts about this?
I think it's hard to find a JavaScript front-end developer that would not be using jQuery in one way or another. Yeah, of course, I've been using it and been following it, and I think the main point of the article is that there was a concern that jQuery 2 will deprecate the some other browsers, and what will happen next as jQuery progresses, the other browsers will be completely deprecated, or what will happen? And this article answers just these questions that there will be a compatibility version that will uh, have the base code of the first jQuery version, and the third core, not the compatibility version, the main version will continue the jQuery 2 way. So that's, I think, the most important piece of information, that we are still will be able to support these older browsers.
Hello.
Oh, so you're back?
Can you listen?
Um, a little too unclear.
Hmm. I cannot listen. So. Can you listen?
Still too bad.
Oh, this is terrible.
Maybe better to use another computer without a camera. Hear that. Hold on.
Hello.
It still sounds like it's getting better.
So, were you listening to me
Yeah, but
before?
oh, yeah, now it's good. It's great.
Let me see. What about now?
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah, I don't know. Everything started crashing here, and I had to restart. Well, it's better to resume from the start of what you were saying regarding jQuery.
Okay.
Okay, you can restart when you want.
Yeah, okay. So I think the main point of the article is to uh, calm the users because there was a concern that um, jQuery second version deprecated some older browsers, and what will be in the future, how will developers could handle the older versions. And this article answers the question that there would be a compatibility version that would reuse the base code from the jQuery first version, and the uh, like a main version that would reuse the code from jQuery second version. So it answers this question, this uncertainty, what would the developers do to support older browsers. So I think that was the main point.
I think it's good because since many people use jQuery, they will be always interested to know what to be the eventually new features or new improvements of the latest version, just because they always want more and better things. But I think most people that are already using older jQuery versions are quite happy. Probably are not so concerned about the new features, which this article, from what I read, does not tell much, right?
No, basically seems it would have the same API and nothing much newer. Nothing that would break compatibility also.
Yes, and since it also doesn't answer the question, what will be the expected release date, so there is not much to announce for now.
Yeah.
So given that, let's move on to the next topic, which is related with an article that personally I found interesting. Um, and it is called Seven Principles of Rich Web Applications. Well, basically, it is just common sense about what the way things should work. And let's take a look at each one of them. The first one is it says server rendered pages are not optional. Um, Actually, it mentions server rendering is not about SEO. It's about performance. I suppose they are talking about the fact that if you try to push some HTML templates and start rendering them on the browser side, you will eventually take more time than if you already served the HTML already rendered. And
Yeah.
personally, that's something
Also,
that really,
also the AJAX request would basically be the same as the solution that the server would not need to render it and only provide data, and it will be processed on the client side.
yeah. And they also are mentioning HTTP 2.0 push of resources. But I think it's something that is not yet widely spread, so that's why they say in the future. And the second point, let's see, oh, it's faster to go back and go forward. Act immediately on user input. This practically says it all, just to make it um, the application responsive, not responsive in the sense of adapting to the different screens, but adapting to the user input. So if the user acts, pushes a button, he expects something to happen immediately, not 10 seconds later. Just because your application is busy, maybe it should show a sign that it is busy, so the user know what is going on. And this is terrible, especially on slow devices, for instance, mobile devices that are uh, either old or slow for some reason. Some applications become very unresponsive, and we don't know if you did not push did not touch the screen hard enough, or it is just the application that is not acting in a responsive way. So this is, should be pretty obvious. The next one, react to changes of data. This is also to be responsive, but not responsive regarding the user input, but rather change of information, change of status of something that your application depends.
Yeah,
Uh,
for example, the company I work for provides real-time analytics. So if you open a dashboard, you want to see the data displayed immediately when it's updated in the database.
yeah, and
We need to do something like that.
exactly, and this is as important as the previous point. And the next one is that it says control the data exchange with the server, and this is to provide user-friendly handling of errors and other stuff. Sometimes your application depends on connecting to the server to obtain some information, and for some reason the network is not working very well. And maybe you should tell that there is some difficulty to connect, rather than waiting forever, not telling anything to the user. And well, basically, I think that's it. And the next point: don't break history, enhance it. This is regarding web applications dealing with the back and forth buttons. Sometimes the user does not click on buttons to leave a certain page, it just clicks on back, and your browser should be able to, your application should be able to deal with this. For instance, when it returns to a page that is in a certain state, it is important to use the push state history. So if the user changes anything in the previous page, it should go back exactly to what the page was. And they mention here history push state precisely because of what I said.
But you can actually make much more. For example, there could be some kind of configuration like a table where you sort or filter data, and you can also persistently save these settings. So when user gets back to it, they're also like there. Or there was an example about scrolling position. Or you can enhance it even further if you want.
Right. In certain cases, the browsers are able to preserve the scroll position, but in others, it could do much because probably you switch some tabs to become invisible or not, and that changes the scroll position. And if you are not able to restore the tabs that were visible or not, probably it will become confusing to the user. So the next point is push code updates. Well, I'm not sure about this, but I think this refers to when you are improving your application. Probably some code on the, I mean some JavaScript code or even CSS code was changed, and your application should work in such a way that it should actually push the right version. And personally, I use that technique. Actually, I've been using it lately, not all the time, but let's check it here. It's not a good case. It shows in the package page. For instance, I put the number. Let me show. I put the timestamp as parameter. Some URLs. Let me see if I'm opening of the right page. Yes, this is a bit. I'm not sure if I can improve this further. It is not very readable. But okay, I think you can see it here. I put timestamp parameters just to make sure that next time the browser loads this JavaScript, this is actually a static file, but I put this parameter that does not mean anything, but just for the browser to not keep loading the old version from a cache or something like that. and I use this formula versioning just to make sure if a user was using an old version and that suddenly the site has a newer version, yeah, since the issue URL will be different, it won't load the old version anymore from the cache. And I think that's what it means here.
Most probably, yes.
Okay, and the next point, predict behavior. They call it negative latency, which means that you not only you need to react immediately, but if you can react with anticipate what the user will do, what the user will need, your application will be eventually much more usable. And I think all these recommendations are quite great. They are just common sense. Personally, I agree with all of them. What about you, Arthur?
Yes, the suggestions are most of them, I think, uh, uh, page apps. I don't think that you could apply them for any cases, but mostly it really enriches an user experience if you follow. Yes.
Yeah. Well, now moving on to the next topic. Uh, there is an article here. I found it curious because it talks about uh, the console object, which at least me, I've only been using that function console log just to dump some debug information to the browser console and see what is going on. But they are mentioning here in this article 5 functions of the console object you didn't know. So this certainly applies to me. I didn't know any of these functions. Assert, table, profile, group, and time. Well, I don't know. Were all these functions available since a long time ago, or they are more recent? Arthur, what are you aware of these functions?
Actually, yeah, I think I saw something like that, some article before, but didn't really pay attention. And actually, I wish I would knew some of them before. Like console table could be a real time saver when you want to see what's inside the object. And stuff like profile or time are also probably used in the browser tools, like developer tools. It's probably something similar is used internally. I usually use it for the same purpose, but yeah, you can also do some custom debugging using these methods. So yeah, they're actually quite nice to see.
Yeah. Well, so given that, let's move on to the next topic, which is about something that you should be more familiar than I, which is about something that we actually mentioned in the last episode, which because it is related with hardware devices that can be controlled with JavaScript. In this case, it's Silent.js. Arthurs, you seem to have been playing with some devices that can benefit from Silent.js. What is your experience?
Yes, well, I'm participating in one side project that tries to develop a controller to control other smart devices, and we were looking for different frameworks to use, and Silent.js was one of the ones we found, and actually it was quite great. Um, at the time I had a Sphero device, so I needed to make it working with our controller, and yeah, I used the Simon.js. It was really easy to set up and to start working with it. The only problem was that at the time it was a like a Node.js server side, so if you want to control it from the browser, I would have to create a WebSocket connection to the Node.js and then try some data input. But as now I see from this article, you can actually browserify it and run from the browser directly, which is even better. And as I say later, they will also provide the um, phone gap example, so you could also control these devices from the app in your phone, which also runs JavaScript. So yeah, JavaScript everywhere, and Silent.js is the best framework for the robotics. It controls lots of devices. You can look at the platforms. There are lots of devices listed there, and if you are into robotics and into JavaScript, then that's the way to go.
So if I got this right, this is a framework with the drivers for different devices, right?
Yeah, well, they are called drivers, but it's like a wrapper to wrap the API that the device understands.
This sounds great for those that want to play with hardware. This sounds like a great framework. So, well, it's just to mention it a bit more than we mentioned in the previous episode. There is this article here, running robots from your browser with the 7JS. Not a very long article like the previous one, but it should give you an idea how simple it is to make it work, um, to, to integrate with this framework. So now moving on to the next topic. Now let's talk something relatively new. I have not tried it yet, so I hope I'm not misunderstanding it. Basically, is what Mozilla is calling Firefox Developer Edition. I tried to look at the available information. I did not try it in practice. Uh, my first impression, this is basically what Chrome already has, and probably with a few more things. And from what I could understand, those few more things are like, for instance, what they call the web IDE. Let me open the page. And it's all in Portuguese here because it insists that I want things in Portuguese. Let me put it in English. So it has several built-in add-ons, if I can call them so. It mentions here web IDE, responsive design view. This is something interesting. It seems to be very similar to one thing that Chrome has introduced recently, and I find it very useful because it lets you try your web pages in different resolutions to see how your responsive site is handling it well or not. Then there is balance. Develop and debug your apps across multiple browsers and devices with this powerful extension. I'm not sure. I think this is to try your applications in practice. We emulate in different browsers, right? Or is it the web IDE? I'm not sure because these extensions or whatever they are called seem to be connected to each other.
Yes, they are.
I don't know.
They are components of the browser. I've also installed one to try it out to see how it is while we were uh, fighting with the Google Hangouts.
Yeah.
And if you can see on the screen that here is their IDE. I would probably prefer a better, like a more simpler text editor, uh, but here you have whole project, and so you need a project manifest to make it work. So if I want to convert my existing kind of web pages, I would need to create such project manifest. Probably could also add files here. No, it doesn't seem that I could add files here.
Where are those files? Are those on the server or
No,
maybe?
those are local file. That one of the problems that I found out actually. I don't know how would you manage a project that is with a backend, which like is tied to the
No,
backend.
that is the purpose. Maybe the intention is that you just use it for developing, not for deploying.
Probably yes. So you can just write a front on here and then add it to it, combine it to the backend. But the idea is that you could actually easily run it, and you can select runtimes and it's not like there is also some kind of simulator. I did not install it yet. You can also connect to other browsers on your computer, so remotely connect to them and website on them and debug or working on another browser. So that's the cool feature. That's what they call, I think, the Valence.
Yeah. So in practice, it is all there. It's not a separate thing.
Yeah, it's
Um,
all inside the browser.
they also have a web audio editor, page inspector, web console, JavaScript debugger, network monitor, style editor. This is more or less things that already existed in developer tools of browsers since quite some time ago. But I thought it was interesting because it was mentioning that you could actually see how it would look on different devices, different types of OSs like iOS, Android, and even Firefox OS, which is something that they want to promote, of course. But I could not get exactly if it was just an emulation or they're trying to load it in real web views of those browsers of those platforms. It's just an emulation of basic methods. Well, this is interesting, and I suspect that we probably will be talking more about this in future episodes of the Lately in JavaScript podcast because it's always interesting to know more about these improvements in developer tools. So moving on, we are going to talk now about an interesting article that is somewhat unusual, which is talking about how you can sort of embed JavaScript inside of pictures. And this all sounds to not be for a good thing, probably. Somebody that keeps about security matters, because if you can inject JavaScript on a picture file, maybe you can mislead some vulnerable system to believe that an image is a type of file that is to handle and that it can be tricked. That the system can be tricked to interpret it as JavaScript rather than a picture. And what they mention here is basically that for instance, the GIF format, it starts with GIF 89A, and then this, I mean, This is the header of the file. It's binary, so right after there is some bytes that define the size of the picture, and if they can use this combination to define, for instance, the width. This, when considered as individual characters, they'll be the slash and the asterisk, which are used in JavaScript, of course, in many languages, to start a comment. That means that whatever comes after that, it is interpreted as a comment, and after the end of the comment, they can put some code, like assignment to some value, and treat it as a variable, and then there could come some code that could be used for some malicious purpose. So, for instance, if you inject a script tag that loads the URL of a picture, but which in reality is JavaScript, you can be injecting malicious JavaScript in a web page. But of course, this is an hypothetical scenario on which you would have a vulnerable application that could be exploited with scripts like this. I could not fully imagine a real scenario on which this is exploited, but I remember that some time ago some similar exploit was sort of implemented in PHP. So the problem is not in PHP, but the way people use certain PHP commands. For instance, they used to have, if they want to serve a picture that was uploaded by a user to the server, instead of using some file reading command, they use script interpreting commands like include or require. And this is bad because those commands were not for those purposes, but there are people that do not know exactly what they are doing because they are not very mature as developers. And they could also benefit from these kinds of exploits of putting comments and then replacing the code with something that could execute some exploit that could, for instance, steal data from the server. But that was on PHP side. On the JavaScript side, I cannot fully imagine a possible scenario this can be exploited, but I'm sure somebody already thought of that. So just be aware that do not do stupid things like confusing pictures with JavaScript code. So now moving on to the next topic. Now it's time to talk about the Innovation Award of the JavaScript 2014. We are going to start talking about the winners of September. Actually, this month there are not many nominees as before. There were just 3 and all got tied with the same vote, so they all got number 1. And okay, let's talk about them. Artus, please go ahead and talk about what you thought were the most interesting.
Yeah, so the first one is oh, let me try to share it first. Yep. So the first one is Format.js class developed by Pierre from France, and what it does, it returns the date formatted according to your country specifics. I was interested in how he actually do it because, well, there is no general rule how you could generate it, and he just stores the formats for different countries inside, so he has this information, and if you need it, it's a handy class that extends the date object, and you can format the date to any specific country that you need. And Pierre got one downloadable ebook of choice by O'Reilly for this class.
Yeah.
The second one is a JS webcam class. Let me load it here. JS webcam class developed by Elgar license, and what it does, it uses the API to retrieve pictures or video from the your computer's webcam. Basically, it can retrieve binary data and then display it, for example, in the website data URLs. It's also a really neat package. And Elgar got one book of choice by Pact for this class.
Yeah, that's great. On my behalf, I'll talk about the remaining one, which was okay. It crashed again, and now there are two me's on the Hangout. Can you listen to me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we can do nothing when there are two me's on the Hangout, so
Okay.
let's restart from my part. So on my behalf, I would like to talk about the remaining one, which is a package for a somewhat unusual purpose. I mean, unusual for most types of applications that you would find on the web. JavaScript big validator, and this big standard is a format for defining codes for containers that are transported with products around the world in ships or maybe trucks. And this one is a package developed by Samir Semna from India. And what it does, it validates the code because a big code has certain conventions. And it can take the code, compute the check digit, and verify if it is correctly formatted. So it is an interesting package for people that for some reason need to deal with containers that are transported around the world. And for this award, Samir picked a prize, which in the case was 1 year of code-heavy developer-hosted Cloud ID premium plan. So I hope he's enjoying this Cloud ID. And for the Innovation Award this month, we talk about our winners. So let's see how it is the ranking of the Innovation Award winners of 2014. Individually, Thomas Björk from Sweden continues to lead with 4 packages and 15 points, then followed by David Castillo with 2 packages and 13 points, and now followed by Pierre Fouque with 3 packages and 12 points. Then and with Jordan Marmolejo from Spain with 2 packages and 10 points. And then several others with 1 or more packages but less points. By country, So far, France is leading, now with 5 packages in 21 points, followed by Sweden, 4 packages in 15 points. Then Mexico with 2 packages in 13 points, Spain 3 packages in 12 points, Italy with 3 packages in 8 points, Canada 3 packages in 7 points, India with 2 packages in 6 points. Then there are several other countries with only 1 package and less points. Well, unfortunately, this month we have had less nominees, so there are not so many people sending packages to participate in the award. Previously, I mentioned that the JS classes had a boost in the traffic from Google because there are some recovery of some Google algorithms. But then it dropped again for some reason that I'm not sure what happened. But what happens is that unfortunately many new packages are sent by new users, and that if the site gets new users, less new users, it also gets less new packages. So let's see if in the future things recover. Uh, Many sites are being affected by Google algorithm fluctuation. Um, Not just JS classes and others. To a certain point, also PHP classes, but PHP class is much more popular. So let's see if things improve in the future. Anyway, so for now, I hope the current users keep sending great packages so we can keep talking about them. Now for the Innovation Award and for the PHP classes side, uh, we had much more nominees, and for September they were voted in October, and then in November the results come out. So we are in December, so we can already talk about them. So there were like 12 nominees. It's a lot of packages. Arthur, which ones would you like to comment?
Okay, let me share the screen again. There, it's shared. So the first class I would like to comment is the PHP multi-profiler class by Jacob Fogg from United States. And well, we've all done testing, which function works better, which approach is faster, and well, this class does exactly that. It can call the function multiple times and record the time how each call spent or how long it was creating object. So yeah, that's very useful. And Jacob got one subscription to the PDF edition of the PHP Architect magazine. The second class I wanted to mention is a PHP Euler circuit or a Hamiltonian path. Basically, they differ only if you want to walk through the graph either by the unique nodes or unique edges. And this class exactly does that you and it walks through it. It finds that visits either edge only once and returns back to the same position. And this class was developed by Chi Hoang from France. As I remember, I think Chi submits lots of classes with geographical approaches, and now so it's similar. And he got a Storm ID for this class.
Yes, and talking about that, just briefly to comment on the fact that Ki Wang was one of the authors that recently changed of country and also updated it on the PHP classes site profile, so he could apply to jobs on the country he is now, which is France. And previously, I think it was in Germany. But just because it changed the country, it also changed the rankings of the awards by country. And there is another author, Patrick Lasso from Spain, that also changed country. He went to the United States. But I contacted both. I asked them if they wanted to preserve the representation country from their original country. In the case of Kiwang, he said that he preferred to represent France now because that's where he lives. And in the case of Patrick, despite he's still in the United States, he wished to represent Spain, which is his origin country. So this sort of fixed the problem of each author representing the country that they want, not where they live in the moment. It's also affected the rankings, but let's see more about that ahead.
Now, other developers can't buy developers with lots of PHP scale so they could win. It's not gonna work, guys, anymore. You know, from other country could vote the top.
Yes, your voice is cutting a bit, so I'm not sure what you were asking.
No, no, nothing. Let me proceed. So the next class is a PHP jQuery UI MySQL accordion developed by Neda Divbandi from Iran. And this class implements the master table detail table view that could basically retrieve rows from the master table and um, retrieve more details from a detail table based on the row ID and generate HTML file to display this data using accordion UI element. And Neda got one downloadable copy of PHP ED for this class. Next one is a PHP encode form values class developed by Rosha Chavan from India. And the interesting part of this class is that it not only generates the PHP code, but also JavaScript that the values on the client side and on the PHP client. So that's how it works. That's why it's great. And Rocha got one copy of Zen for this class. The one is PIP sorter, basically a class that receives an array of addresses and sorts them. It's not an simple sort because IP addresses usually stored like a string, so you need to divide them strings in different values and they then sort each separate value to see where the IP address stands. This class is handy for the small function if you needed that class. It was developed by Pachiarota from and he got one downloadable copy of Komodo IDE for this class. And the last one I wanted to mention is PHP RAML to HTML class developed by Stowe from United States. And RAML is a way to describe RESTful API, YAML markup. So let's take this YAML markup, generates an HTML function for the REST API, so you could view this API. That's why it's so neat. And Mike Stowe got one copy of DWeb Pro standard license for this class. So that's all.
Yeah. Well, on my behalf, I would like to also mention a few other classes. Starting from this one. PHP coin exchange from Michele Andreoli from Italy. He's one of the Italian developers that is been helping Italy to move ahead, but we'll get there in a moment. For now, talking about this class, it is interesting. It's for an sort of unexpected purpose, but probably there are applications that can make good use of this. Imagine if you have a certain amount of coins of different values, and you need to give change to a customer. So this class computes the number of coins that you should give to the customer to match the necessary change that you give to him. So it is an interesting package. Um, Michael so far did not pick his price yet because there are many packages this month to pick prices, and the price picking took longer than usual, but eventually he will get to his turn. And so let me move on to the next package, which in the case is PHP. I actually there's it should be PHP I 18N, which means PHP internationalization, and this package is interesting because sometimes when you want to prepare your package or your application to deal with internationalization, so if you want to serve it for users of different countries, you need to have the application texts translated to different languages. But sometimes you did not plan it from the beginning, so you have to extract the strings that are used in your application from the existing code, and this package just does that for you. It can traverse your PHP code files and extract the strings that needs to be translated to internationalize your application. So for this, Everton was nominated. Everton Da Rosa from Brazil was nominated. Did not yet pick his prize, but probably he just checked one thing because I think he was not sure if it was this month. It was not this month, but it will come when you start to pick his prize. And but going on, let me comment about the remaining news that were nominated. One of them is PHP Mass Database Update from Amani from Hirhan. Amani has a moment. Okay. Amani has developed a package which is meant to do mass updates in values that you have in your database that for some reason you changed, and you need to change all records that you have certain values to change to new values. And another thing that I would like to take the chance to mention is that the recommendation system that has been implemented recently now has a new feature, which is when a package is recommended for a certain purpose, the recommendation is also listed in the page. So this is a new feature that was not available before. And in this case, this package was recommended for two purposes, for two recommendation requests. And this is useful to see for users to see if this package has been recommended for certain purposes. And but let's carry on. Another package that I want to comment, which is called Defterder, is from Adil Ilan from Turkey. And what it can do is to generate changelog files from Git repositories. So it checks the Git repository for changes that have been done on the last commits, and it generates a text file in the Markdown format that shows those changelogs. So this is very useful if you want to create those changelog files automatically, so you don't have to wait to do it manually. And the next package is another package that is for a similar purpose that what I mentioned before for JavaScript. PHP big validation. In this case, it was implemented in PHP by Roberto Aleman from Venezuela. And it basically does the similar thing that the JavaScript version does, which is to validate the code of a container. And actually, it can do a bit more, which providing a link to a page that on which you can verify the container code online. So it's not just validation of the code itself. Finally, I would like to mention the PHP Store openings package, which is interesting because it lets the users determine if a store is open at the current moment, given the regular store opening times and even eventually the time of I mean the date of holidays. And this package was developed by Maven 123 from Germany. Obviously, it is not his real name; it's an alias, but that's the way he intends to be identified. So, in terms of Innovation Award nominees, that's all. Let's see how are the rankings at the Innovation Award 2014, first by author. Wang is still leading with a great advance with 8 packages and 42 points. It is followed by Horacio Prince from Italy with 3 packages and 24 points. Then and with Jordan Marmalade 3 packages and 16 points. Rochak Chauhan from India with 2 packages and 14 points. And tied with Everton da Rosa from Brazil with 2 packages and 14 points. And then follows several other authors with 1 or 2 packages but less points. And by country, the things are heating up. As I mentioned before, there was a certain adjustment because Patrick Gelasso is now representing Spain as he was originally, while Kioan keeps representing France as he has chosen to. So, so far, Italy is ahead with 8 packages and 56 points, followed very closely by Iran with 6 packages with 54 points. France with 11 packages and 52 points. Brazil with 7 packages and 39 points. Spain with 7 packages and 38 points. And United States 5 packages and 35 points. Russia with 3 packages and 23 points. India with 4 packages and 22 points. Germany with 3 packages and 16 points. And the United Kingdom with 14 points. And things are heating up because so far we don't know which country is more likely to win because there are several countries that are very close to each other and things can change quite a bit. So far, this is considering the ranking, the nominees of October. So we still have to see the nominees of November and December. And the final results will know in February. But so far, things are very, very interesting. We don't know yet who's going to win. And to make this even more interesting, we are going to mention something that we started like a few weeks ago, which is the package recommendations, as I mentioned before, that may help users, authors to be nominated for submitting innovative packages. And this we see here in the feature requests. Let me just open the door. Sorry, now I'm back. And as I was saying, the feature requests are packages that were requested by users that have some needs, but for which there is no package in the site that addresses those needs. And those that are flagged as featured is that what they represent. So we have here in the feature request tab several packages, several requests. There are no package yet to satisfy them. Actually, some have suggestions, but they are not necessarily innovative. They do not necessarily solve the user problem. For instance, this custom search engine API. In reality, for instance, in this case, I suggested to use a package to use to send API requests via OAuth, but this is not what the user was asking. I was asking Google custom search engine using Google API for that purpose. So it would be a more innovative package if there was a package that could be used specifically to implement this API for the purpose that the user wants. And then there are other requests here, like a request for a package to manage stocks. Stocks. There is a user also asking for image gallery that is private. It's a bit different from public image galleries because you have to control the access of the users that can see each gallery. There is a request for a package in PHP that can generate reports using the iReports, Jasper iReports package, which is a package in Java, but it provides a server, HTTP server from which you can pull the reports. So it will be interesting for this user. There is a user also asking for a calendar of events using PDO instead of other MySQL extension. Then there is another user asking for a photo voting system, which is which would be like a system to not only upload photos but also to vote on them. There's another request for handling payments on a local server. This is a more complex request, and the user there details how he wants to work. There is another request for a RESTful web service for registration and login and forget password steps. For I suppose he wants an API for that, a web-based HTTP REST-based API for that. And I guess these are all the new packages that were the recommendation requests. Artus, have you been following these requests? What do you think about these requests? Do you think authors can come with innovative packages for these purposes?
Yeah, definitely. While, of course, it seems most users don't ask for a class that does that, but they're ready to use script. But yeah, what authors should consider that should use the read the behind the lines to see, maybe not provide the how users should use it already to have everything for them, but just provide the functionality, wrap in some NPI, and let them use it on their own in their own scripts.
Yeah, that's true. There are some users that just come here and say, "I want a package that does all my work."
Yeah, exactly.
Is there a package that can do all my work so I can make money without having to work? It's more
Yeah,
like
that would be great.
that. And it's interesting, especially because there are users practically from all the countries coming to the PHP classes site, and some of them are not able to express themselves very well in English, and they sometimes are not able to explain what they want. But it's pretty clear that sometimes what they want is basically solutions to do all they are being paid for. And you can notice that when instead they say, I want a class, they say, I want a script. They think a script is the magic script that does everything for them. And this is
Exactly.
very curious. But oh, let's, while I'm talking about that, I would like to also mention the fact that if somebody submits requests that are not very clear or just things that do not make much sense, those requests are removed because I think it is important just to keep the requests that are very good quality, at least they are clear what they want and they can also be useful for others. One thing that it was not yet implemented, but it will be implemented hopefully soon, is that some of these requests already match some certain keywords that are being searched in the search page of the site. And when they match these keywords, instead of showing the results, I can show them, are you looking for a package for this problem? And show links that already have recommendations. So instead of they having to express what they want, uh, they see existing requests that have already recommendations, and they have a solution right away. So that is that was the main goal of the system, is to make the site uh, more useful for the users and faster. Because if there is a solution for the problem that they have, they do not ever want to wonder too much. And this will also avoid the problem of certain requests that are sort of duplicated. There are several requests here already that have been asking for the fastest PHP mailing class. And since that is a frequently requested purpose, I think once I showed them these suggestions, the users will not submit those requests over and over again. Well, there are still other improvements to be implemented. I'm thinking about things that would motivate more authors to submit suggestions, not necessarily of their own packages, but maybe packages that they have seen from others, because only a few users have been suggesting recommendations. So Arthur, since sometimes you have great ideas, if you have any idea, or anybody else, not just Arthur, of how to motivate more people to participate in giving suggestions, it will certainly would be interesting to share. Um, Anything in mind, or maybe not?
Well, for now, um, sorry, breaking up still, probably.
Yeah.
Can you hear
Well, it's,
correctly?
for now it's okay. Just tell me in the future if you have any ideas.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so with this, we practically ended this podcast. It was quite long because we tried to record several things at the same time with all the hassles of Google Hangouts, but finally we reached to the end. I'd like to thank you, Artis, again for the time and the patience of recording yet another Hangout that should be less than 1 hour. It took more than 2 hours. But I think we made it with some audio breakups or not reached to the end. So on my behalf, that is all for now. Oh, just one thing before I mention, before I leave. I'm not sure yet if there will be a recording next month because I'll be traveling. I'll be spending Christmas in my home country, Portugal. Uh, I'll try to see if we can record it from there, but since I cannot promise there will be time to do it, uh, um, maybe there will be no recording. But if there will be a recording, it will be posted in the usual places. So now that's all for this episode. Bye.
Bye.